Welcome back to Conservation Conversations. It's a pleasure to have everybody here again tonight for this chat. We've had some fantastic guests recently, and I hope you enjoyed how they've responded to our questions about conservation of music, conservation of nature, everything that Stornoway stands for. Last month, we played in the Royal Albert Hall a couple of months ago now, and we did our soundscapes, and it was a way of showcasing and maybe reminding everybody just how much nature is at the heart of everything we do, lyrically and musically and sonically, whether it's a blue whale jumping into a vortex or the sounds of seagulls, the sounds of mammals. And in this new season of Conservation Conversations, the whole point is that we dig deeper into that and talk to people who are getting hands on with conservation work itself out in the biodiverse places that the world has to offer. So today, I'm thrilled to be joined by somebody who I bumped into at Manchester Folk Festival and about whom I wanted to find out a bit more. I'm going to be asking them questions today about what they work on in conservation. So without further delay, please welcome Ed Mooney. Welcome, Ed, and how are you today?
Hello, thank you very much for having me, Ollie. I'm good. How about you?
Not too bad. Yeah, it's been quite a busy time for Stornoway.
So,
Happening. The album is on pre-order at the moment, so
mhm.
it will be out in September, and I can't wait to share those new tracks with the world. Have you got a ticket to any of the shows, perhaps?
Not yet. I am paid in a couple of days, so I'm going to see see that.
Hey, that's great. Cool.
Um,
Well, yeah,
yeah,
it'll be really nice to take these songs out on the road, and
yeah.
especially if we can do something approaching what we did at the Albert Hall, bring the soundscapes with us. Don't yet know how we're going to do that, but talking less about music today and more about conservation itself.
Mm,
Can you start by introing yourself and what you do in conservation?
yeah. My name is Ed. I'm an area conservation ranger for Fylde Council. If you don't know where Fylde is, it's in the northwest of England. It's not too far from Blackpool, if you're familiar with Lancashire. Yeah. So my job kind of has, I always describe it as having four elements. So part of it is habitat management. So there's certain sites that we look after to manage for wildlife. Part of it is public engagement. So running events to teach people more about wildlife and like get them more involved. Part of it is education, working with school groups. And part of it as well is surveys to record what lives on our sites and a little further beyond, and know better how to conserve it.
That's brilliant. And are you working with like quite a team there in Lancashire?
Yeah. So Fylde Council has a coastal conservation team in the Parks Department, which is what I'm in. So there are six of us. We'll see if my maths is right in a second. So there's the senior conservation officer, who's our manager, and then there's three rangers. So me and my colleague work mainly inland, and then last one works on the sand dunes with the Fylde Sand Dunes project. And then we've got a coastal patrol officer and a dunes conservation operative as well, who also works on the sand dunes.
That's great. Do you ever have musicians visit and get involved there? Because, recently Stornoway filmed some stuff over in the Gower Peninsula where there's these multiple
Ooh.
conservation projects going on. Llanelli Wildfowl and Wetlands Trust, where Brian Singer works.
Mhm.
The Gower National Trust, which is doing this really cool thing with the salt marshes where they've let the sea water in through the sea wall that used to keep it out. And
Yeah.
they're creating platforms for egrets and all this kind of thing. So we got to tour there and have what you might call a collaboration between music and conservation efforts. Do you have artists coming in and doing things like that?
So not often, but we do occasionally now and then. Often, in terms of artists getting involved with the conservation, a lot of the times it's the Dunes project and physical media, so paintings and things like that. But yeah, not a lot of musicians. So if you guys are free and want to pop up, it's always nice to have a
Yeah,
friendly place.
Lancashire is one of the most special places to us. I think it's even if it's just a glimpse of the Lancaster spire there as you
Yeah,
drive past on the way up to Scotland. But we have done music in that county before, and I know that one of the best bits is there's this group who coordinate education efforts in Lancashire, one of the public bodies there, and they were also at the Manchester Folk Festival where I
yeah,
bumped into you, and so they're teaching kids about music and conservation at the same time, and it's there's so much cool stuff going on there.
yeah.
Um, So yeah, we would love to pop down. And we're going to be touring in November, so maybe it's between, I don't know, between the dates on that tour.
Oh, very good.
And what was your impression of Manchester Folk Festival? Any favourite performances that you want
Ooh.
to recommend to the audience?
I've got to admit that was my first ever music festival of any kind.
Ah, right.
So that was my first impression of any musical festival of any kind. So I kind of enjoyed everything I saw, but there was there's quite a lot of diversity in it. So we met at a Catalan folk music gig.
That's right.
It was really, really good.
Yeah.
Um, there was also I also saw Taff Rapids that I thought were great.
Yeah.
Welsh bluegrass,
Yeah.
which is a combination I didn't know that I wanted, but I do. Um, but yeah, and I also went to a folk song, a work song workshop that was
Yeah.
about the kind of the history of work songs and the
Yeah.
different types, which I thought was really, really interesting.
That's great. Yeah, they've that festival has been a partner of this podcast, and I want to take a moment to recommend again that people go and check it out in 2027. It's going to be happening in March, and there's going to be, like you say, international showcases. I'll talk to you a bit about the Catalan musicians in a second. The song workshops and those walk-in songs, spelt WAULK, walk-in, so
Oh, yeah.
work-in songs. They're a real tradition because so much of folk music was developed around trades
Mm.
and guilds and what people did for the profession. It's just the most brilliant bringing together of different cultures and collaborations. So those are Catalan musicians. Do you remember the duo Alosa? I think
Yes, I do.
they were just mesmerizing, right? With the
Yeah,
tambourine skills and then the
yeah,
vocal duetting. And there was a string instrument as well, perhaps a cello. Do you remember that? Maybe I'm
yeah,
wrong.
yeah. There was cello. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
And they just caught people's attention in a way I've not seen before. I can't wait to see Alosa again at some point. It might be the kind of thing that, because I'm so keen to see them, might have to drag the whole of Stornoway out there and do a gig in Barcelona just specifically so we can get to the right part of the world.
yeah.
But singing songs in a language that you don't really get to hear very
Mhm.
often. So, yeah, congratulations, Ed, on a top choice for your first ever festival. Where are you going to go to next?
I don't know. I haven't really thought this far ahead because I mean, there's so many to choose from, and I mean, in Britain and Ireland is full of. I think I will go to another folk festival, but they're full of folk festivals. So I don't really know yet. I have considered maybe going to one that's like one where you like go camping and then do that because obviously Manchester, there's not a lot of room for camping
Mm,
in the middle of Piccadilly Gardens.
yeah.
So yeah, but I haven't really figured it out yet. I'm still sort of basking in I've literally I can see from where I'm sat my wristband that I had on the whole weekend. I've still got it.
Oh,
Um,
that's excellent.
but yeah, um, yeah,
Well, with Stornoway playing so many festivals this summer,
mm,
I'll send you the list. I mean, well, I'll say it now. So we've got what have we got? Beverley Folk Festival in Yorkshire on the 19th of June. Then we're in August. We're playing Compton, the
mm,
20 to Compton and Found Festival. These two different ones, late August. And then we're off on tour in October. So there's loads to pick from. If we can, offer you a place at one of those, that'll be really fun. We recently talked to Whitchurch Folk Festival as well about what
yes,
they're doing, and that was really good
yeah,
to hear. And I want to go along to that one again in 2027.
mm, oh, very good, very good.
Yeah. So then I'm going to ask you about these conservation questions. So we've talked about folk music and how it preserves old traditions and blends in new
Yeah,
innovations. But then maybe let's go back to talking about conservation of nature. So in your job there,
mm.
with the team, is there like a favorite piece of music that inspires you guys and brings you together? And yeah, how does music play a role in the conservation work that you're doing?
So so it kind of it's a bit of a weird one. So I think we've all got quite different tastes in music. So I think there's some of them who, if I brought folk music to the plate, they'd be like, "That's lovely, Ed. Maybe not for right now." But I actually find that uh, oh, I've just realized it's something I've never really admitted to anyone. So when I do strimming, because a strimmer uses the same action as you use a scythe, so it has that regular motion. So I do find doing work songs, normally shanties, because that's what I know best. I
Mm.
do tend to sing them while I'm doing it, which no one can hear because a strummer is incredibly loud.
Yes.
There's something I find nice to keep time. Um, uh, I speaking of Alosa, they did a cover of Sota de l'Homme, which is a beautiful song. But Sota de l'Homme literally means under the elm. And in Filed, we're quite unique in that we weren't hit with Dutch elm disease at the same time everywhere else was.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of elm trees. So my first day on the job, I saw more elm trees than I'd ever seen in my entire life.
Wow.
So as soon as I came back from the folk festival, I pulled my colleague aside and I was like, Tom, I've got to tell you about this song because it talks about your favorite tree. So I think it kind of varies. We are doing a sea shanty walk in, I want to say, July, that I'm leading on. But I think if I'm honest, I probably bring the most music to the table because I'll just sing anywhere and I won't shut up.
That's brilliant. Yeah, I'm really excited to bring Stornoway and see those elms if we can. I mean, we've had songs about ash dieback as one of the many problems that has faced UK trees, but we've never done a song about Dutch elm disease. So maybe we can inspire it to be written. How are the ash populations where you are?
So they're not amazing, but they've sort of begun to level out a bit. So there's certain parts of Filed where there were not big swathes because Filed is quite it's quite agricultural for the most part. So there's not any kind of vast woodlands really. But the stands of woodlands that there are, the ones that are mainly ash, you can tell from a mile off because nowadays they're fairly sparse. But a lot of them have been replanted. There's a kilometre stretch of woodland that me and my colleague Tom look after, called Green Drive, and that has quite a few ash in, and you do notice on them that they're starting to turn a bit.
Yeah.
They haven't been quite as affected as further inland, I don't think. But ash dieback is still there. It's still affecting the trees. Some of them are trying to recover, some of them aren't. But we're just kind of making best judgment we can, tree by tree.
There was a piece of news just in the past couple of weeks about how the propagation of ash seeds is something that they've worked out a kind of, what was it called, a household method or a tabletop method to do this, where people without very much training can just help the ash seeds, the seeds of healthy ash trees, get out there much more effectively. Do you know much about this?
Yeah, a bit. So one thing you do find is that trees that are affected by disease but are not the worst affected don't necessarily bounce back. But so there's gosh, this is digging back into bits of my degree I haven't had to use for years. There's a concept called epigenetics, and it's basically the idea that if an individual experiences stresses in their life, so for the ash trees, it can be ash dieback, then that can alter aspects of their genome that then when it's passed into the next generation, they will have slightly better resistance. It's never that they're completely immune, but it's just slightly better resistance. And so it does help creep in a bit. So at the minute, one thing that we're doing, especially in Green Drive, is making sure that we leave any ash saplings that we find, because chances are they've come from a nearby tree that is either healthy enough to have mostly evaded the disease, or a tree that is on its way out. And either way, it's probably better suited to dealing with it, and also because it's better suited to dealing with our specific climate in the Northwest. So it's a little more effective in the long run than buying in trees from further away.
Yes. Okay. Well, just last week I was talking to a conservationist who runs a reserve close to where I am in southeast London, and we were talking about that, the high importance of selecting your trees very carefully and making sure that we're not just planting any old trees because because it sounds like the greenest thing to do, but planting them in a way that takes care of potential disease and spread of problems. So it's really good to hear you guys are doing that in a very informed way as well. And is everyone on the team, done that kind of training? And do you bring the public in to train them and teach them about how best to manage the habitats they have access to?
Yeah, so we run a really wide variety of events. So the idea is that if anyone wants to get involved in the natural world in any way, then there's something for them. So that ranges from bat walks to wildlife friendly gardening, So all sorts of things. The Sand Dunes project also has weekly guided walks as well to get people out in there because it's a really good conservation project. So yeah, so we do kind of when we do kind of events, we do sort of want people to learn something and bring it home with them. And one thing that we do kind of stress a lot is that with a lot of the things we do, because a lot of the conservation we carry out is in public parks rather than nature reserves for the most part. So it's conserving species in areas that were not designed to conserve species. And so if we can do it there, then people can do it in their garden. And so it's something to take away with how you manage kind of plants that you get in a wildflower meadow. What sort of species of trees are the best to select for certain species? What does well on our coast, which can be a big one for some species. But yeah.
Brilliant. It's been really fascinating to talk to you. Thank you, Ed. Is there anything else? I mentioned you mentioned the event coming up in July. Anything else that you want to share with the audience here? Get them excited about?
Ooh, yeah. So we've got. I mean, so if anyone follows the Filed Ranger service on Facebook, then we put up whenever we're doing events on there. We tend to be doing one a month. So there's a bat walk in September. We're doing an amphibian walk in what month are we now? We're April, so in May. Dragonfly one in June. So we do all sorts of things. My colleagues at the Sand Dunes project as well are also constantly doing events. So please look out for them. They also do Christmas tree planting in February. If anyone wants to donate their Christmas tree, which is to build up the accreting dune system. So it's a sustainable way to capture sand without having to put anything damaging in the dunes. So there's all sorts. If you're not close to Filed, then get involved with your local conservation projects, because we can always do with the help. And there is nothing too small that would not benefit from you being there.
Yeah, 100%. Thank you. This is what this season of Conservation Conversations is all about. It's letting people know just how close to them very often, around the corner, there might be a nature reserve that you've never seen before or been aware of. But there are thousands of ways to get involved in conservation efforts and driving biodiversity specifically. So let's free the battery human and get people out there. And thanks, Ed. It's been a real pleasure to talk to you and hear all about the projects there at Filed.
Well, thanks so much for having me.
Great. Thank you, everybody. Take